Hey there, this is Carrie Clark with SpeechAndLanguageKids.com and the Speech Therapy Solution. Today I am answering a question about group activities for vocabulary comprehension. Now the SLP that asked me this is a middle school speech therapist, and she is working with a group of children this summer who need some vocabulary comprehension activities. So I'm just going to list out several activities. These are not based on any research that's like, these are the best activities for this problem. These are just some activities that I came up with based on what she was talking about. So if you have skills that you need activities for, you can just ask me, hey, I'm working with this kind of kiddo, and I'll just give you a list of activities like I'm doing today. So the activities that I have for vocabulary comprehension for a middle school group, the first one is you're going to need to identify the skills of each child. So you need to figure out which words each child needs to work on. So what I would recommend is either create or find worksheets that have many different pictures on them of common vocabulary words. So something like a bingo sheet would work really well for this if you can find some of those, or just make your own. You could also use flashcards if that's easier. I think a sheet would be easier because it'd be easier to contain, but whatever you have is fine. So you're going to want to start with some pages that have simple words, like just basic school vocabulary, and then start getting increasingly difficult words, and put those on separate sheets so you can design which sheet that they're looking at. So if you have one or a couple that are the basic vocabulary words, just basic school words, then maybe the next set of worksheets you have are different categories. So vehicles, foods, furniture, any of that kind of stuff. And then maybe the next level up would be school-based words, so curriculum-based words. For example, if they're learning about the water cycle, you have evaporation and condensation and all that kind of stuff. So that would be the more difficult words, or whatever they're working on in school right then. Now you're going to want to give each student in your group his own worksheet, or you can take turns and have them all work from the same worksheet. If you give them all their own worksheet, make sure that they're facing away from each other so that they can't cheat. But then you're just going to say find blank and have them point to the correct picture. So what you're doing is you're just figuring out, do they understand the words when I say them? You can also do definitions. So you can say, find me a juicy red fruit, and they have to find the apple. So you can give definitions, or you can say, find apple, and have them actually find the word. Either way, you just want to see what they know. And then based on that, you're going to figure out which type of words each child needs to work on. So maybe some need to work on some basic school vocabulary, some are up to category words, or some are all the way up at curriculum words. So figure out what they need to do, and then use that for their vocabulary building activities. Okay, so let's move on to some activities that will actually build the vocabulary. The first one I have here is a bingo game. So you can create some bingo sheets with the words that the child needs to work on. If they're all working on similar words, maybe they all have the same sheet. If they're working on different levels, then you have different levels for each child, and you just kind of take turns when you're calling out the words. You take turns, so this child gets one, this child gets one, this child gets one. If all your kiddos are working on the same words, you don't need to switch around the position of them so that everybody has a different board. Chances are these kiddos are going to be just as happy if they all win at the same time. Then there's no competition either. It makes it, oh, you all won, cool. So don't feel like you have to rearrange the tiles on each of them. Just give every kid the same sheet, and it'll be fine. And then you're going to say each word, and the child's going to cover up the words that they hear, or you can give a definition and they have to cover up the word that matches that definition. Okay, so that's a bingo game. The next one would be to bring in real objects or demonstrations. So let's say that all the students are working on a similar words. You could bring in some objects that represent those words or demonstrate the concept. So for example, if you're working on categories, you could bring in a bunch of toy vehicles and a bunch of play foods, have the students sort them out, talk about them. Or if you're doing curriculum-based words, you could bring in demonstrations that are going to give you an opportunity to talk about those words. So for example, if you're working on the water cycle, maybe you bring in some things to talk about condensation. So maybe you bring in a cold glass of water and watch the condensation form. Or maybe you bring in a pot of boiling water and you talk about how the evaporation is happening. So you get to actually demonstrate those concepts if it's a curriculum-based word. So that would be a third activity. The fourth activity I have for you is a sorting activity. So this would be where you either have everyone working together from a pile of cards and you sort them into different categories, or you give each child a pile of cards and they are doing independent work to sort into categories and you're just kind of monitoring and helping the students. You can obviously do a little bit of both on this. What I would do if you're working on it in a group is hold up each card, ask the children what it is and what you do with it, and then talk about which pile it goes into, and then maybe give them their individual work and have them sort out their own piles. Okay, the last activity I have for you is to hold races. So basically what you're going to do for this is you're going to lay out your picture cards at the other side of the room, and then you're going to come back here and you're going to have two children line up and you're going to tell them each a word to find. Maybe they're looking for the same word and you have two different piles, or maybe they each have a different word that they're looking for and it's all in one pile. This is going to be dependent on what words the children need to work on. Then you're going to have them race to the other end of the room, find the word that they need, and bring it back. And whoever gets back first with the correct card wins. So that would be a fifth activity. If you have any other activities for vocabulary building for middle schoolers, please leave those below. Or if you have any questions, let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much and have a great day.